It was raining the day we met. Not the soft, poetic kind. It was an absolute downpour. The kind that makes you question why schools don't just cancel everything and let you stay in bed. I had forgotten my umbrella. Of course I had. Because why would I, a sophomore who spent the morning cramming for a history test, remember something useful like that? I stood under the tiny awning outside the science building, backpack already soaked, hoodie clinging to my arms. And the buses were pulling in, splashing water like it was a competition. That's when she appeared. Emma, Jr. Quiet. Always carried a book, and never raised her voice. Even when group projects were going to hell. She was the kind of girl who didn't just underline sentences. She highlighted feelings. She stepped under the awning, looked at me, then looked at the rain. And without a word, she held out half her umbrella. "Come on," she said. "I don't bite." I hesitated. Not because I didn't want to, but because it felt like stepping into someone else's story. A softer one. Still, I nodded, and we walked in silence, toward the bus stop. She was shorter than I remembered. Her shoulder barely brushed mine. Her bag was heavier than mine, filled with notes. I'd later find out. She smelled like rain and lavender hand cream. And even though we didn't talk, I remember everything about those 5 minutes. The way she held the umbrella slightly tilted toward me. The way her thumb tapped the handle like she was keeping rhythm with some song only she could hear. And how, just before we reached the buses, she said, "Next time, bring your own. But today, I got you." She smiled and ducked onto her bus. I didn't know her then. Not really. But from that day on, every time it rained, I'd check my bag twice. Once for my books, and once for my umbrella. Just in case. After that day, I started noticing her everywhere. Emma was in the library during lunch, always by the window, always with a book. She'd tuck her hair behind her ear when she read something she liked. She wore soft sweaters in pastel colors and scribbled quotes in the margins of her notebooks. She wasn't loud. She didn't need to be. She was the kind of quiet that fills a space, like how silence makes a song more beautiful. I wanted to talk to her, but I didn't know how. What do you say to a girl who offered you shelter like it was nothing, then disappeared behind a bus window like she'd just passed through your life for 5 minutes and left you wanting 1,000 more? So I waited. For rain. It didn't come for weeks. But I watched the forecast like it was a countdown. I kept an umbrella in my bag. A blue one, just in case. Not for me, for her. And then, one Thursday afternoon, the sky finally gave in. It started slow, a drizzle against the windows during 7th period. By the time the final bell rang, it was pouring. I ran to the science building. She was there. Same spot, same calm, same tiny floral umbrella. She smiled when she saw me. "You came prepared this time," she said, nodding at the umbrella in my hand. I held it up. "I figured I owed you a dry walk." She looked surprised, then touched her umbrella gently. I don't usually share umbrellas with strangers. I tried to play it cool. Guess I'm not a stranger anymore. She looked at me for a moment, like she was reading something between the lines. Then she stepped closer. We walked together again, this time under my umbrella. The air smelled like pavement and spring. The rain was softer now, more like the kind poets like to write about. "I remembered you," she said suddenly. "After that day, I kept wondering if you'd say something." I nearly tripped on the sidewalk. I wanted to. She glanced up at me. "Then why didn't you?" I shrugged. Maybe I thought, if I waited for the rain, it happened naturally again. She laughed. A real one this time. That's either really romantic or really stupid. I grinned. Maybe both. She didn't answer right away. But she didn't walk away either. She just moved a little closer, and the umbrella tilted ever so slightly to cover more of her than me. And that was fine. Because sometimes, getting a little wet is worth it. If it means walking beside someone who makes even the rain feel warm. It wasn't supposed to fall out of my bag. But it did. We were in the library. I was pretending to study for biology. Emma was reading some worn-out poetry book she said she loved because the pages felt tired, like they had lived through a lot. And then, from between my notebooks, a single sheet fluttered to the ground. Light as a leaf. My breath caught before it even landed. Emma bent to pick it up. I reached out too late. She held the page up, curious. "What's this?" "Just something I wrote," I mumbled. Her eyes scanned the lines. "It rained the day I met her." She held half an umbrella like it was a door to another life. I've been standing under that moment ever since. Her lips parted slightly as she read. I looked away. "I wrote it after that first day," I said. "Didn't plan to show anyone." Silence stretched between us. Not awkward, just suspended. Finally, she placed the page on the table, smoothing the creases gently. "You write like you mean it," she said. Like it hurt a little to say. I nodded. It did. She turned toward me, eyes softer than rain. I thought I was the only one who kept that day. I looked at her. "You remembered?" Emma laughed, almost shy. "Of course I did." I remember thinking, maybe the quietest people feel the loudest things. We sat there, across from each other, our elbows barely touching. "I have something for you," she added, pulling a folded napkin from her backpack. On it was a quick sketch. Two people under an umbrella, one taller, holding it too high, one shorter, leaning in to fit under. Underneath the caption, "Next time, let's get soaked together." I didn't know what to say. So I just smiled. Wide. Honest. Like my heart had been waiting for this exact moment. That afternoon, we walked home. Umbrella forgotten. Rain falling in light. Warm drops. Her hand brushed mine. I took it. She didn't pull away. And for once, I didn't wait for the rain to bring us together. We were already there. Sometimes love doesn't come with lightning or grand confessions. Sometimes it's just two people under one small umbrella, learning how to share the silence. And in that stillness, now.